Emisión.net.
Hello again and welcome to Letter from England, broadcasting for AC Press and the Spanish Evangelical Alliance. My name is Jonathan Dawson. The Shack, according to José de Segovia, Evangelical Alliance theologian, is a book for restless spirits. The issue of where God is in the midst of suffering is the subject of The Shack, a novel by Canadian author William Young, and recently translated into Spanish and published by Espasa Calpe. Young touches on the big questions of the Christian faith with all their theological weightiness, but, says de Segovia, from such an experiential perspective, with surprising boldness and honesty, in a sincere search for God that does not leave us unmoved. The Shack is aimed at a broad readership, not just Christians and not even at those with an interest in spiritual things. It cuts across the prejudice that many have against theology, because it dares to take on the major questions of the Christian faith from a doctrinal standpoint and speculate about such complex issues as the relation between divine sovereignty and human responsibility. To do all of that in a book is surprising enough, but to do it in a novel, and one which has become bestseller in secular book lists, is even more remarkable. The novel helps its readers reflect on one of the most frequently asked questions: why does God allow tragedy and pain? The novel is about Mac, an ordinary family man whose life takes a terrible turn one summer holiday. His little daughter Missy disappears, and after an investigation the police conclude that she is the latest victim of a serial child killer. Her body is never found. And thus begins for the family what the author of the book calls their great sadness, an illness that corrodes the soul and from which Mac doesn't recover. He has questions he cannot answer, and he directs them at God. Years later, Mac receives a mysterious note inviting him to a shack out in the woods, the very place where evidence of the crime had been found all those years before. He goes, scared that he will come face to face with his daughter's murderer there, but also intrigued at an invitation which suggests that perhaps it is God himself who has called him. When he arrives, he finds three people: a black woman, a Middle Eastern man, and an Asian woman, who represent the three persons of the Trinity. And Young explains that the choice of appearance is an attempt to break our stereotypical thinking on what God is like. De Segovia admits that some Christians will find such characterization irreverent or even blasphemous, and perhaps they ought not to read the book. Yet he goes on, if you are able to overcome these obstacles, you will discover some surprising dialogue of enormous theological depth. Most of what is said in the book agrees with the Bible. The presentation of the Trinity, based on a relationship of personal love, fits with a general scriptural picture. Mac engages in conversation with the Trinity, learning how they operate and how God intervenes in people's lives. He does so according to a plan that is hidden from humans, and that therefore they cannot evaluate, nor should they try, but is one that is always guided by God's infinite love as Creator, Redeemer, and Sanctifier. De Segovia again. You try and make sense of the world in which you live through... Sorry, this is not De Segovia, this is a quote from the book. You try and make sense of the world in which you live through an incomplete vision of reality. The real mistake of your lives is that you don't think I am good. If you knew that I am good and that everything, the means, the ends, and individual lives, is covered by my goodness, then you would trust in me, but you don't. Well, that's what the author puts in the mouth of God to Mac in the book. Now, millions of readers are finding in The Shack a coherent explanation, however unorthodox its style, of problems which have always troubled the human race. This is the book's great virtue, without taking away its value as a novel. The tragedy of Missy touches the reader's heart and creates a narrative of deep feeling for the breaking of the relationship between father and daughter. There is also an end to this story in these pages. Whether sad or happy we shan't reveal here, although for Mac it means that his soul is at peace. You won't find a treatise on systematic theology in the book, nor will you find a string of blessed thoughts to comfort you in your spiritual life. Rather, says de Segovia, this is a book to pour out all our frustration and lack of trust before the God who is not oblivious to our pain, but has suffered it in the mystery of his incarnation. One must go to him with our desperate need of experiencing his love as Father, although he is represented in this book as a mother. It's about the warmth of that meeting. A book, when all is said and done, for restless spirits. Thank you for listening to Letter from England, broadcasting each week at emission.net. Goodbye.
Emisión.net